Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. As the next 3 or 4 days is looking very mild, if not warm in places, as we do see southerly winds pushing in for a time. Temperatures could get up into the mid-teens quite widely, and there is the risk of even getting towards the high teens and a couple odd runs, perhaps showing signs of maybe even 18, 19, could even be the odd 20 degree. However, with this southerly push, we are seeing lower pressure coming in off the Atlantic. That is squeezing those isobars, causing that southerly airflow. So there will be a bit more cloud and precipitation around over the coming days. So yes, turning warmer, but unfortunately seeing a little bit more in the way of cloud and rain, especially further westwards, and it will progress eastwards at times as well. However, there is a very strong signal now as we do head into early next week. It is going to turn much, much colder. That high pressure that's been hanging around at the moment is going to head northwards. We're going to see ridging up towards Iceland, and it is looking very likely, pretty much guaranteed from all runs now, that we're going to see a cold, maybe even very cold, northeasterly wind starting to develop. The air mass associated with this northeasterly has got a little bit more intense over the past few days, and instead of looking at maybe -3 to -5 degrees, we could be looking at -5 to -8 degrees at the upper air temperature level. Now again, it's nothing extreme, no beast from the east or anything to that level, but definitely cold enough for widespread overnight frosts. Temperatures by day, mid-single digits at best, feeling very cold. Temperatures coming in of a cold North Sea, going to feel very chilly indeed with that wind chill. And there is the risk of some wintriness. Wouldn't rule out some falling snow even to low-lying areas. Settling snow, less likely just because of the strength of the sun this time of year and of course the long daylight hours, but there definitely is a possibility of seeing something wintry, especially in the east as we do head into next week. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see at the moment it is still very dry and very pleasant. Looking to the north, there's a few showers around as we do see a disintegrating weather front, but generally speaking, it's been a very pleasant day. Recording this around 7:30, and temperatures are starting to fall away again tonight, but they're nowhere near as cold and won't be anywhere near as cold as they have been over the past few days over the course of the evenings, and that is because the upper air temperatures are starting to rise and that warmth at the upper air level is starting to penetrate towards the surface as well. We're starting a bit more movement in the air, and that means that warmth, that milder air can get to the surface, where the last couple of days it has been milder aloft, but at the surface we've had cold air still trapped. So pleasant by day with the sun, but once that sun goes down, much, much colder. Now over the coming days, as you'll be able to see, unfortunately we are going to see increased precipitation. Through Thursday, it still looks pleasant enough, but rain starts to pick up during the second half of the afternoon into the evening, and you can see initially more widespread in the west, but could transition eastward. So we're looking at southwest England, Wales especially, but elsewhere through into Friday. You can see Friday will be a very mild day, temperatures into the mid-teens, but we will see quite a bit of precipitation and thicker cloud around. Now as the weekend, it's a similar story. Saturday, a very pleasant day. Pretty dry, but a lot more cloud and a few showers around. Very touch and go whether we'll see good breaks in that cloud. If we do see some strong sunshine, then the possibility of high teens is definitely there, but that's something we need to keep an eye on. Into Sunday, it's a similar story. Still very pleasant, but look to the north. This weather front isn't moving northwards with a southerly wind, it's moving southwards, and this is because that northeasterly is starting to arrive. Some wintriness along that weather front into Monday, and you can see a much colder, drier air mass moving in from the north, and we start to see wintry showers pushing in and a much, much colder feel. Now if you look at the upper air temperatures, very mild over the coming days, not too much going on if we're being completely honest, but eventually, as we head into next week, or into the weekend especially into next week, temperatures start to fall. Look at that, those northerly winds arrive, and look at the upper air level, -5 quite widely, heading in, maybe -8 or -9, is a bit more intense than some of the runs we've been showing over the last few days. That air mass has definitely increased, and yeah, would be turning much, much colder. Look at the 2 metre temperatures tonight. An isolated frost is possible, but generally temperatures staying above freezing. And by tomorrow afternoon, much milder, 15, 16 or even 17 degrees. Come Friday, again, it might not be quite as mild, with a bit more cloud and rain around, but still into the mid-teens perhaps. And into Saturday, similar story. 15, 16, 17 degrees, maybe even 18 or 19, and similar into Sunday. So not quite as high as the UKV was showing yesterday. It was showing it a degree or two higher, but nonetheless, very mild, mildest temperatures we've seen in many, many months. And yeah, fairly pleasant weekend where we do avoid the cloud and rain. But into Monday, look at this. The cold air seeps in, and by Monday afternoon, the south could just about touch double digits. Further northwards, mid to low single digits, and that will be becoming a lot more widespread as we do head into next week. Much, much colder feel. We'll be able to see this on the latest GFS. Now, if we do run through it, you can see the southerly push coming at the moment. Low pressure coming off the Atlantic, giving that a bit more precipitation, but it drives to our south. And high pressure replaces it to our north. And look at this, a northeasterly wind arrives by early next week, with this blocking high towards Iceland, and we keep this easterly wind continuing to drive in off the near continent. Now, it's not coming directly from the Arctic, quite a long track around the high, which means the air mass won't be too intense, at least in this longer range, but the winds just keep coming in from the east and would likely keep it cold, maybe even very cold. Now, if we do look at the upper air temperatures into next week, the -5 arrives, potentially even down to -8, and eventually we do start to pull in that proper easterly. Now, of course, the air mass starts to run out. We're heading into mid-March now, so we're never going to see anything ridiculous like we can see in January, but nonetheless stays chilly, stays cold, before eventually the easterly does turn a little bit milder with those upper air temperatures rising ever so slightly, but nonetheless remaining pretty cold indeed. And we'll be able to have a look at those 2 metre temperatures on the Ensemble charts at the end of the video, and my gosh, they will be cold. Again, not cold for winter, not cold for January, chilly for January, but for mid to late March, very cold indeed. And the longevity of this is quite extreme as well from the GEFS today. Now, if you look at the latest GM, again, same outcome. And we do see the exact same synoptics develop northeasterly winds into early next week. And again, that high pressure stays to our north and continues to push easterly winds. So the high pressure is getting moved eastwards, which does look like it could collapse the easterly wind by the end of the week. But look at this, look at that very cold air mass moving in, potentially even the -10 isotherm, trying to flirt with our shores. And if we do look at those upper air temperatures down towards -8 to -10 degrees or below average, looking very cold there as we do progress towards the end of this run. So a very cold GM today. And the ECMWF is pretty much exactly the same. This has only just come out. Look at that northeasterly wind by next Tuesday. And again, we continue to keep those cold air coming in from the northeast and even easterlies here, with high pressure ridging over. And you can see there's cold air involved, and it would be really cold at the surface. So yeah, looking like a very chilly next week or two coming up after this weekend. And we can see this on the latest ensembles. If we do put on the upper air temperatures, you can see mild over the next 3-4 days. Big drop come Sunday night into Monday, down towards -5 or even lower, staying there for a good 3 or 4 days, and then most start to trickle us back towards average, but it takes its time. So generally looks like the middle third of March, even much of the second half of March, could be dominated by much, much colder conditions. The dew point's looking very cold as well, so definitely a possibility of wintry precipitation. And you can see the 2 metre temperatures. Look at that drop off, 15 degrees this weekend, maybe even locally higher, down to 5 or 6 come Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So a big, big drop off. And of course, not quite doing the temperatures here justice, would probably be slightly colder, and the feel-like temperature would be much, much colder as well. So a proper colder spell arriving, at least for a good few days. 3, 4, 5 days looks guaranteed. Longer than that, like the GFS was showing, definitely a possibility, but not a guarantee at this stage. Now finally, if we compare to the latest ECMWF, very similar, pretty much exactly the same. Around the 5 degree isotherm next few days, big drop Sunday night into Monday, and then staying around the -5 for a good 5, 6, maybe even 7 days here, for slowly rising back towards average, come around the 18th, 19th of March. So a very cold run here from the ensembles. Not only is it the intensity of the cold has got a degree or two colder, but it's also the longevity and confidence. We're not seeing this in runs back in January, February. It's one of the annoyances. Once these sort of cold spells normally always come off in March and April, and that's due to blocking being more likely and the jet stream becoming weaker as the polar vortex decreases in intensity. But frustrating that we can't ever get this much confidence in colder patterns or any sort of out of the ordinary pattern during the winter months. Again, might also be to do with the fact that sudden stratospheric warming is occurring, as we've noted in prior videos. That also probably having a knock-on effect here. And look at that, very similar to the GFS. Temperatures from 15, 16 this weekend, down towards 5 or 6 come the middle of next week. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. I'll keep you up to date with what is going on next week. Again, not expecting anything ridiculous, but for the time of year, it will be very cold, and there will be the risk of some wintriness around. Definitely a high risk of ice as well, especially at night. And of course, I'll keep you up to date with any warnings, and of course, any chances of seeing any late season wintriness out there, especially in the east. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.